What's up guys, this is the IJP Mexican and welcome to my first video response to another person on this platform. That's pretty cool. Today we're going to be responding to WideNetGaming and his little series that he did on the World at War zombie maps. I do encourage all of you to go watch the series in its entirety, but if you're short on time, then at the very least look at the Verrucht one. It's pretty emblematic of the whole thing, I would say. The TLDR or the TLDW is that Verrucht is the best COD Zombies map because after Verrucht, the formula changed in a radical way as to not even be able to consider it the same game type, basically. Or more specifically, that it changed for the worst. I got some points I'm going to go through, and the first one is basically that he brings up is that Zombies is not meant for solo, it's meant for co-op, which is something that I completely agree with. This is something that I actually brought up in my Getting Good at Zombies 3 video. Something that I just kind of forgot to mention in the first episode of the series. But yeah, I completely agree. Playing solo is not the way you should play. Now I understand why that became the most popular way to play it, because, I mean, it's a lot easier just to, yourself go on and play than get a bunch of friends together. If they're busy, you can't really do that. I would say the community leans a little too much into the solo aspect of the game type. I think it's a lot better when playing with at least another person, if not 3 other people. So yeah, we 100% agree there, buddy. He says Verrucht is the best map, and if we're classifying zombies as what it used to be, as in like the first 2 maps, then I 100% agree. I also just generally agree that Verrucht is very misunderstood. People just think it's extremely difficult, which it's hard, but it's not like unfair. And I think that's what most people think about that map now, is that it's unfair. I recently made a meme and posted it to the COD Zombies subreddit. I'll throw it up on screen. And in doing research for the meme, I was looking at a few Tim Hansen videos just so I can get some quotes in there. And one of the quotes there on the meme, that it's not easy, there's no easy way to get to round 100, was something that he legitimately said in one of his videos. Yeah, no map should be easy to get to round 100. What are you saying? So yes, the perception in the community has definitely shifted a lot towards maps should be easier. So in that shift, Verrucht definitely gets poo-pooed on a little too much. I also just like the map, so I appreciate WideNetGaming making videos like that. I find it's pretty cool. But now we get into the little disagreement part. So he says that zombies changed for the worse, and well, I'll show some clips, I guess.
Verrucht is not the best zombie map because it reached some potential peak of what Call of Duty Zombies could be across just 2 maps in the first game. It's the best because of the direction COD Zombies went immediately after Verrucht, gradually degrading what was established in Nacht and built upon in Verrucht, namely camping and the challenge to survive. It is ultimately a casual experience, all thanks to larger, more open maps, ever more powerful player characters, and the same old or otherwise even weaker AI. Lessons from Nacht and Verrucht are completely upside down, being inclusive where it should be exclusive, and it's exclusive where it should be inclusive. Today, the unnecessary and complicated upgrade systems, along with needless Easter eggs, make it exclusive to a handful of people that care about getting to high rounds, thanks to the base game's lack of difficulty and just how long it takes, the time commitment, making it irrelevant to the majority until they get to a ridiculously high round. This is in place of an inclusive, straightforward, proper game design where you can simply learn everything by playing. In Nacht and Verrucht, you understand everything about the game the more that you play it. Instead of proper game design, though, we have the inclusivity reserved for the lack of difficulty to get as many people playing as possible, with an upgrade system vapidly acting as motivation and ultimately a distraction to keep more people playing in massive maps that have enough training spots individually for everybody. At the end is a meaningless achievement to get to an easy high round that feels the same whether you play in co-op or alone. It's not about the challenge to survive or cooperative play. Once the boredom sets in, there's another Call of Duty game to distract you with the same junk, repeating the cycle. It gets more and more complex on the surface while remains simplistic underneath.
I'm gonna bring up Pink Floyd. Have you guys ever heard of the band Pink Floyd? Hey, look at that. It's almost like I have before. There's a nice little discussion amongst fans of the band. The question is, when did Pink Floyd stop being Pink Floyd? And well, before we get into that, let me get into Pink Floyd history. So there was originally 4 members of the band. The head figure of the band was Sid Barrett. Sid Barrett did too many drugs and was under too much stress, and kind of had a psychotic break, unfortunately. So much so that in their American tour, in their first American tour, he would just, at random, just stop playing or just play one note repeatedly, among other things that were just wrong with him. I'm pretty sure he tried to, like, bash his girlfriend's brain out with a guitar once. I don't know if he was still in Pink Floyd when that happened, though, but yeah, not good stuff. Really sad story. They brought in David Gilmour to kind of, like, back him up in the live performances and for recording their second album. Even though Sid Barrett was still present in that second album, he wasn't as much as in the first one. But then eventually Sid got kicked out because he just wasn't really doing anything, so yeah. And then after that, the band's music started to change over time, eventually changing completely. So much so that on Dark Side of the Moon, they actually reference this change. And if the band you're in starts playing different tunes, is directly referencing the change that has gone over throughout the years from 1967 to 73. And then they went and made the albums that most people know of, like these ones. But then eventually, bass player Roger Waters decided to piss off and leave the group. Then it was many years before the group made music again without him. But they eventually did. And when they did, there was a lot of people that said that, oh, it's just not the same. It's not Pink Floyd without Roger Waters. And to those people, you could say, Pink Floyd hasn't been Pink Floyd since 1968, buddy. So, what does this have to do with zombies? Well, to the people that are complaining now about Vanguard and, even Cold War, zombies isn't zombies anymore, well, somebody like WideNetGaming could go, ahem, sir, I do say. Zombies has been zombies since Verrückt. Now, the question is, which argument is more valid, or is one valid and the other one not, I guess? Is Pink Floyd this, or is it this? Is it the thing it used to be at the beginning, or is it the thing that most people recognize? Same thing with zombies. Is zombies these 2 maps, or is zombies these maps? Is it the most recognizable, the era where people most played it, or is it the first one, Which one's more valid is the question. How do you determine that? Do we go by first come, first serve? First come, first serve us, because it's a game? Do we go by what came first, the basis? Or do we go by what came after, but then most people played more than the actual basis? Do we go by the first 2 albums, or do we go by the one that everyone's heard or at least recognizes? Same thing with zombies. Do we go by the first 2 maps, or do we go by the ones that everybody's played or at least recognizes? It's a good question. I'm not exactly sure what's the appropriate answer. On one hand, I'm really big on, like, the OGs are, like, need to be respected. I think I've played Gen 1 more than any other gen that I played. So, yeah. But on the other hand, I really like these other maps, though. So, yeah. The taco girl? Why not both? Does she say why not both, or does she say, ¿por qué no los dos?
¿Por qué no los dos?
I will say it's an interesting question. Maybe one that more people should ask themselves. I'm betting to say that most people say, screw Verrückt, every other map is better. But, yeah, it's still an interesting question. I don't necessarily agree with that. So, yeah, I think it's cool. Cool to think about. Another thing that WideNetGaming said was basically hoarding was just extremely easy and that anybody can do it. He said this.
If you're a part of the majority of zombie players, chances are you do like to train and run around in a circle. But don't mistake this for some high-level strategy. It's not. It's something you can do only if a map is broken playing in a 4-person group. Some are more broken than others, but a map is broken depending on the ease to run around a map in a circle while playing in that 4-person group. It's not smart or even hard. It simply involves moving around alone. It allows you to continually buy a gun off the wall and mindlessly waste ammunition. Worst of all, the action and pace grinds to a halt, spending more time literally running in a loop than in actual combat. In contrast, camping involves close cooperation with your teammates, at first deciding where you camp, once you're set up. You're maximizing and alternating your shots, reloading from a stationary position, standing, crouch, or prone, shooting in a line of zombies to get as much damage to as much zombies as possible per shot. Deciding when or if you have to fall back to the shock trap also requires close cooperation. Misunderstood perks like double tap even come into play. Again, they even have assets to convert the machine gun to a mounted stationary gun in Farouk that was scrapped in Shinonuma on. This is why a continuous player base for older maps like Farouk are so important. The logical conclusion of how and where to hold up with a 4-player group requires actual time and experience with the map.
Which I don't think is fair. I don't think it's fair. It's kind of like saying that camping is literally just sitting there and pointing your gun and shooting. I can categorize camping as literally the easiest thing ever because you don't even have to move around. You just have to aim and shoot, and that's it. Like, you don't even have to move. In hoarding, you gotta move around. So, which one's really the easiest one? Now, obviously, that's an oversimplification of what camping is, but on the same note, I don't think you can say hoarding or kiting or whatever you want to call it is just literally running around in circles. It's not that easy. It's definitely easier than camping, let's not get that wrong. It's definitely easier, but it's not just like I hold stick on a curve and I win game. Just like with camping, you can get into a sticky situation and there is a certain skill in being able to get out of that sticky situation. And let's be honest, not a whole lot of people can do that. They'll try and fail spectacularly. There is definitely an art to be able to dodge and weave through the zombies that not everybody can do. Not everybody can have that like quick reaction time to know like, okay, I'm not just gonna keep moving, I'm gonna turn around real quick and like do a little avoiding thing. Not everybody can do that. Same way as not everybody can go like, okay, I'm gonna reload right now because if I don't reload and keep shooting, eventually I'm gonna have to reload and I'm just gonna be screwed when camping. Let me hit the trap at this moment because it's a good point to do it now. If I wait too long, then I'm just gonna die. And if I do it too early, then I might die as well. It's not as easy as just turning around and throwing grenades on knocked, right? It's not that easy. Imagine if I was out here like, you literally just have to buy grenades from behind you and throw them. It's the easiest thing. Of course it's not. It's a lot. There's more into it than just that. But again, hoarding is definitely easier. And unfortunately, hoarding is definitely overshadows camping in the later maps and just by the community itself. For example, you can't camp on Call of the Dead because of George Romero. Now, I like George Romero. I think he adds a difficulty to the map that was kind of lost around that time of zombies. Like, for example, Ascension is literally one of the easiest maps ever. So from going that to Call of the Dead, I think it was necessary to like mix it up a bit. But in adding George Romero, they just completely annihilated camping, which sucks. They also got rid of the electric barriers or any other kind of trap. Which, I mean, they probably had to do so it wouldn't mess with George Romero or something, but yeah. So for sure, camping is definitely just kind of been thrown by the wayside, unfortunately.
Turn on the trap, Eric, and I'll be right behind you. Come on, Eric, come on. Shit, timing got screwed up. Eric, if you lead in, just come back to Tommy like you normally will, and then I can follow you and burn my horde. I'll be right behind you. Run your normal route, Eric. I'll be right behind you.
Another thing that WideNetGaming mentioned in his Derice video specifically were that the electric barriers went from being like a defensive thing to an offensive thing. In my notes here I have electric barriers are weapons of mass destruction.
Muffins of mass destruction.
I will say I do agree with him that after Derice, the placement of certain electric barriers became pretty weird, like just not super useful. For example, on Kino, you have the one that's in the entrance of the lobby. That's not really, that seems definitely more like an offensive trap than a defensive one. You have the one next to the PM63. Again, doesn't seem like a really defensive one either. You have the one in that room that literally nobody ever goes to. I don't even know what's in that room other than it's just kind of weird. Funny enough, that's where people got like the world record on BO3. Which is super weird. And then you got the one in the dressing room. Again, none of them are super defensive. Maybe you could argue the dressing room one if you're in the like stage area, but even then it's not really. But I do disagree when it comes to Derice. I think the one next to Power is 100% like a defensive one, especially if you don't open the back door. I know you do eventually have to do it if you want to pack a punch, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of people like try to leave that closed as long as possible because it's a good place for camping. Personally, I like to try to stay there as long as possible when I play solo Derice. I think the longest I've lasted there is maybe around 16 or maybe 18. I'm not exactly sure. Funny enough, I've never actually even used the electric barrier because I don't really like to use electric barriers for whatever reason. I don't know. I feel like it's cheating until like higher rounds. Looks like a lens, but it's a cup. The one next to the DBS, I think that one's probably like the only one where I would say like, yeah, that doesn't really have any defensive purposes. I guess it definitely seems like like offensive. But the one in the Tommy room, I 100% like I don't think you can make the argument that it's not defensive any way at all, unless you have like the staircase opened up. But if you do that, then you're a Neanderthal. Every time I played with randoms, they would always open that freaking barricade. Why? You don't leave it closed. It's literally the best room in the entire game if you leave it closed. They would always just go and, I want to open it. Idiots. Leave it closed. Hashtag leave the barricade on the Tommy room closed on Derice World at War. It's a long hashtag. But yeah, I do agree that later on, the traps definitely got in just weird positionings. Like, Ascension, like, none of them are defensive. Funny enough, they actually literally made traps that are guns, and that's offensive, yeah. Funny. Yeah, traps definitely transformed into an offensive thing over time. Or maybe not even over time, pretty quickly, actually. And then they just disappeared, which is funny. The last point I have in my notes is that it just gets too easy and it gets boring. That's kind of subjective, I guess. I don't really know how to respond with that. I still have a lot of fun playing Derice. I had fun playing Ascension, even though it's literally the easiest thing ever. But it's definitely not something that I look forward to replaying anytime soon. But here's the question. What can we learn from this critique from WideNetGaming? Well, I think Call of Duty World War II, which is a terrible name for a video game, by the way, specifically the Zombies mode, portrays this duality perfectly. Here's a little story from me. So one of my friends from university wanted to do the Easter egg on one of the maps. I don't know the name of the map, but it was one of the maps. So me and my other friends were trying to help him out with that. We never actually ended up doing it. I think we got like maybe 3 steps in and then it just went and we would always lose. It wasn't not fun, but it also wasn't like, yay, we're gonna play World War II Zombies. Terrible name for a video game. But the one time we had a lot of fun with that game, specifically on zombies, was on the other map that's in the game, which is literally just like a cabin. It's smaller than the starting room on Noct. It's 2 stories, maybe there's like 5 rooms in the whole map, and man, it was super fun to play. I don't remember what round we got to. I think it maybe like mid-20s. I honestly don't remember. It was super fun, super chaotic, just trying to survive, generally struggling to survive. It was a lot of fun. I was the self-appointed medic, and I was literally just saying, no man left behind, in English, by the way. My friends are all Mexican. I'm just saying this in English. Not like they don't speak English, but you have to represent America then. No man left behind. That's what I was doing. I was just going around reviving freaking everybody. I'm pretty sure like I ditched one of my perks and got the equivalent to quick revive just so I could be the good medic. So yeah, and I was just like, I'm not even gonna care about killing the zombie. I'm just gonna revive people. And yeah, it's a really cramped up map. I don't know how he made it that far. I have no idea. But it was super fun. Now there is a random box, I think, on that map, or maybe there's a pack-a-punch. I don't know. But we didn't know about that. You had to do like a little Easter egg thing to unlock it. We did not know about it, so we basically went in there with like the 3 or 4 wall weapons and like the random perk machine, and that was it. Now it was definitely easier than Knocked on World at War, for example, but it was still a lot of fun. And I'm basically bringing up this story because I think there is still a place for the newer kind of zombie maps that people enjoy, because that definitely has its own audience. You know, going back to the Pink Floyd analogy, not every album can be this, but also these albums aren't bad. So I think it would do Treyarch a lot of good if they kind of like consider making maybe like a separate, smaller map like the one that was made on World War II, which is a terrible name for a video game. Maybe not that small, but at least with like the same philosophy of this is just meant to see how long you can last and nothing else. It's just, I would say it's a lot more fun. You know you're not gonna make it super far. You're basically going in there knowing we're gonna die. Probably really quickly. But it's still fun. That's basically the mentality that people have when they play Noct and when they play Rooked. We're not going to last very long. Let's see how long we can last, though. Funny enough, I played Rooked with the same group of friends on the Black Ops 3 remastered, unfortunately, the worst version. And we didn't last as long. Isn't that funny? We didn't last as long because I told them, hey, we need somebody to watch this window. And all 3 of them, I was the only one on the window. The rest of them were down the freaking hallway with next to Double Tap. And the window got breached because I was the only one there. And I didn't have a ray gun. And then we lost. Isn't that interesting? WideNetGaming does mention like on the Black Ops 1 version, people would, if they went down and died, they would most likely just go like get out of there. But on World at War, they would most likely just stay for the game and, you know, keep playing. So that's kind of interesting. The kind of like mentality that people have while playing. I think my friends were definitely in the kill, not defend mentality. I don't know. But yeah, I think definitely we can take what WideNetGaming is saying and put it into modern zombies, because like yeah, like the new stuff sucks. Like I literally have a video series making fun of freaking Vanguard because nobody wants to play that game. So instead of making a weapons guide about Vanguard, let me just make it about World at War and just slap Vanguard's name on there just for fun. Hello and welcome to the Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies Weapons Guide. Today we're going to be going over machine guns in Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies. But instead of Call of Duty Vanguard, we're going to be going over World at War, because if you're going to play a World War II game, might as well play a good one. That's how much it sucks. So, yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's my response to WideNetGaming's videos. So yeah, hopefully he watches this. Hi, if you are watching. Let me know if you are watching. You're probably going to comment, obviously. But yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate the video. I like it. I liked it, even though we don't agree. Please make more videos on zombies. That'd be pretty cool. Specifically on 5. That'd be pretty cool. I recently played 5 solo, unfortunately. I don't see why people hate it as much. It wasn't that difficult. Oh, there is one thing, though. There's one thing that I have to show. I know it's Black Ops, but still, you're kind of wrong.
If you're a part of the majority of the zombie players, chances are you do like to train and run around in a circle. But don't mistake this for some high-level strategy. It's not. It's something you can do only if a map is broken playing in a 4-person group. Some are more broken than others, but a map is broken depending on the ease to run around a map in a circle while playing in that 4-person group. It's not smart or even hard. It simply involves moving around alone. It allows you to continually buy a gun off the wall and mindlessly waste ammunition. Worst of all, the action and pace grinds to a halt. spending more time literally running in a loop than in actual combat.
Destroyed with facts and logic. Alright, peace out. Another thing that WideNetGaming said was that hoarding was too easy. One other thing that WideNetGaming said was that hoarding was for babies. I gotta put words in his mouth. Even though it would be funny.